We're not really making daredevils anymore, and so Johnny Knoxville represents the last of a hope it's not dying, actually dying breed, because he does not mind suffering pain. His real name is Philip John Clapp Jr. Thank you for joining us. Does anyone call you that? Does anyone call you Philip?
I think Mom has to call him Philip.
Does she?
Only when she's angry. Only when she's angry.
I let my third grade teacher call me Philip, Mrs. Hanasak, but she was the only person I ever let call me Philip.
What does Mom call you?
She called me PJ.
Okay, very good. That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Yeah. Action Point is in theaters this Friday, and I read an interview with you. I was stunned that you thought it was wisdom, the form of wisdom. Your therapist say. First of all, I was amazed that you were in therapy, but then beyond that you thought it wise that your therapist said, Johnny, think before you act. And that you thought that how is it possible?
That's a fortune cookie, Johnny.
Yeah, how is it possible that you had not considered that before?
That's how far gone I was. That concept did not even occur to me. I was like, that's brilliant. So, but in all honesty, for Action Point, I stopped therapy because I knew I was going to be doing a lot of stunts and having to go to a pretty crazy place. So I was like, maybe it doesn't make sense to do what I'm about to do and do therapy. They kind of fight each other.
Well, I'm reading also that you suffered a lot of different injuries while filming Action Point. It's in theaters this Friday. You want to just give us the short list?
The 4 concussions, broke my hand, busted my meniscus, whiplash stitches, lost a few teeth, broke the ethmoid lamina bone in my face, which caused 2 blowout fractures of my left eye.
When I read about the left eye, it was a little more than that. Yeah,
no,
we're recoiling.
Yes.
We're recoiling. That silence you heard was was fear, and but I thought you were going to keep going with the eye because it gets worse, right?
Well, that's the blowout fracture. Yeah, it was when I went back to the hotel. I had a little blood in my nose from the emergency room and the concussion that I just received doing a stunt. And when I blew my nose, my left eye popped out of its socket, and I had to go back to the emergency room.
And what do you think in those moments, Johnny?
In those moments, you don't think, you just act. I saw my eye pop out, and I was terrified, and I popped it back in and went back to the hospital.
What do you
You're
mean
not expecting that when you blow your nose, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what do you mean you popped it back in? Like, take us through that. What do you mean you popped it back in? You picked it up off the floor, you popped it back in?
No, it doesn't come. It didn't disattach.
No, it wasn't hanging. I thought if I would have kept blowing my nose, I would have pushed it all the way out because what had happened, unbeknownst to me, I had powdered my bone in my face, so I was blowing air behind my eye when I blew and blowing it out of its socket, and it went way past Marty Feldman. And then I popped it back in.
All right, he's dedicated to the cause. His new movie, Action Point, which you should see. You should see it because if you can see it, because of what he just said.
Johnny, this park was such a big part of my childhood. I'm wondering what made you want to do a movie on this particular park.
Oh, well, it's an amazing place.
Yes.
Action. I saw my friend Derek Freight had sent me the 14-minute documentary on the place.
Right.
And my mind was blown. I didn't know this place existed, and had the wonderful Gene Mulvihill was the owner. He's like, I don't want to hassle the kids with a bunch of rules. Let's leave safety up to them, and he did. And tell me about your experience there.
Oh, it was fantastic. We made up the rules. There were no rules. We did a show a while ago where I said it was like the wild, wild west of action parks, and there were no rules. And here's the thing. Here's the thing, because I was going around as a teenager, and I was drinking beers, and I was hammered with all my friends. But the people who worked there, now, Johnny, they were drunker than I was.
It's like Lord of the Flies with weed and beer.
How does this work with you, though? Like, what would you describe as the why for your doing this? I mean, you became friends with Johnny Cash and Hunter S. Thompson and I think Evel Knievel as well, right?
I never met Johnny Cash. I hung out with Hunter a few times. I wouldn't say we were friends, but I did get to hang out with him on 3 or 4 occasions. And Evel Knievel we made a documentary on him being evil and very proud of it. I had a chance to meet him one night at the ESPN Awards for Matt. We were introducing Matt Hoffman, but the guys acted so ugly when we walked out on stage that Pontius was naked. Someone kicked Wee Man off the stage. This other guy was trying to puke. It made Evel Knievel mad, and he never wanted to be around me or us after that.
And how did that feel to you as someone who grew up? Were you embarrassed for and by your friends, or do you have to just be loyal to them even if your hero doesn't like their behavior?
I don't remember giving honestly. Oh, I'm sorry. Oops. I didn't remember caring. I don't remember caring, honestly.
Okay. All right.
Good save, Johnny.
Yeah,
yes.
Fair enough. Pick, save, and a beaut. What would you say is the greatest pain you've known in one of these injuries that you've suffered because you're a crazy person?
Oh, boy. Well, I don't know. Like, the concussion sometimes can linger and hurt, and I've gotten some pretty bad ones, especially after the butterbean thing. I even had vertigo after that. When I broke my gym dog, that was psychologically torturing. But I think the most pain is probably something like pepper spray, because if you get a concussion, you usually get knocked out, and then, you're a little sore and dizzy afterwards. But the pepper spray is like 30 minutes of fire in your eyes, and it is the worst.
In the history of the Jackass movies and TV show, if there was any point along the line, there's some details you could give us of something that people don't know.
Oh, I don't know if people don't know, but I mean, I don't know if I've discussed it before, but Jackass was always hanging on by a thread. When you have that group of guys who do that kind of thing, there's a reason we get great footage. Everyone is a little sideways, so it's always been volatile. I mean, even the TV show, we got shut down during the pilot. It almost didn't even make it to TV because we did a thing where I was in a prison orange jumpsuit and handcuffed and went into a hardware store and said, "Hey, can somebody help me saw these cuffs off?" And multiple cops showed up, pulled their guns on me, ordered me on the ground.
Yeah, that's
because of that. Yeah. MTV could not shoot in West Hollywood for at least a decade.
Yeah, that's what the kind of story I was looking for.
That's great. Johnny Knoxville with us here on ESPN Radio. His new movie, Action Point, is in theaters this Friday. What's the craziest thing you discovered about Action Park through doing this movie, Johnny?
The craziest thing, of course, the rides were so dangerous. And like you said, even the people that operated the rides were teenagers and they were loaded. And you imagine coming out there with a broken arm or foot or something. But even like the water was so dirty there that girls would get yeast infections just getting in the water.
Of course.
I mean, it was just a train wreck.
Yeah, they called it the grave pool, not the wave pool.
Yeah. What was the vertigo like, right? It was Butterbean. You allowed him to punch you?
We went into a swap meet and had a boxing match. So when he knocked me out on my feet. But I went, you see my body go limp, and I just fall over like a tree being fell and hit my head on the concrete floor, and it just busts open like a melon. And in the video, it seems like I'm snoring, but my doctor told me I was trying to swallow my tongue.
Oh, for the love of God. Okay, that's the perfect dismount.
Think before you act.
No, that's the perfect dismount right there. Boom. Action Point is in theaters this Friday. It sounded like I was snoring. That needs to be on the movie poster. It sounded like I was snoring, but my doctor said I was trying to swallow my tongue. Thank you, Johnny, for being on with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.